Welcome to Chelsea's Chaos Chronicles. I'm Chelsea Moye, and this is where I talk through writing, planning, and the realities of being a chronically ill author. So, moving right into our writing update for the day, my current work in progress is Murphy's Law of the Jungle. It is a fake dating rom-com with some second chance flavors that I've been playing with for 10 plus years now, over a decade, and I decided it's finally time to give this story its chance. And I will read you guys the blurb that I have for it right now, which is subject to change based on how the story works out. Sometimes the characters don't necessarily cooperate with my outlines or plans. But this is the blurb as I have it right now. Lexi. The thing about small town life, everyone knows your business. And when your rich, pretty boy college boyfriend dumps you just days before graduation and weeks before a family vacation to Mexico, the whole damn town knows before you can even finish your post-meltdown mocha. The only thing worse than heartbreak is humiliation. And there's no way I'm letting Jason think he got the better of me. Enter Rick Moore, mechanic, local heartthrob, and the guy who just happened to find me stranded on the side of the road. He's rugged, ridiculously good looking, and willing to help me save face. All I have to do is convince my family, and everyone else, that I traded up. But here's the problem with fake boyfriends. Sometimes they're too good at pretending. And the way Rick looks at me, I can't tell what's real anymore. Worse, I'm starting to want it to be. Rick. I knew I was in trouble the second I saw Lexi Murphy standing in the rain, swearing at her broken down car. She's gorgeous, fiery, and way out of my league. Always has been. But when she asked me to fake date her to stick it to her ex, how the hell was I supposed to say no? It's just one week in Mexico, a little pretending, a lot of family chaos, and we go our separate ways when it's over. Easy, right? Wrong. Because Lexi isn't just the girl I couldn't stop staring at in high school. She's smart, funny, and every time I touch her, it feels a little too real. She says she doesn't want emotional attachments, but keeping this fake relationship strictly business? Yeah, that's not happening. By the time we get back to Bay Minette, I've got one question on my mind. How do I convince Lexi that what we've got is worth the risk? Because for me, it stopped being fake the second she kissed me at the airport. And so, I have written and rewritten the first 5 chapters of this book about 8 times now, not counting all the years that I worked on this before this year. And the only thing I've been happy with so far is chapter 1. And because I wasn't happy with it, I scrapped everything except for chapter 1 that I had written, so I trashed roughly 8,000 words of this project and basically started over. My current word count is 2,119 words. I have spent the last 3 days overhauling the plot and getting it to a place where my critique partner, Summer, and I both think it's in a good place for me to move forward. And I'm I'm excited to do this book. A lot of people who know me personally and know the real story behind this book, because there were actual family shenanigans on a vacation in Mexico once that inspire a lot of the shenanigans that go down in this book, are excited for this one in particular to come out. Um, For me, it's a little bit harder writing a rom-com than I expected it to be, just because I'm so used to writing dark romance and I'm so comfortable in the dark romance space. And stepping out of that headspace and into the rom-com headspace is a big shift, but I really wanted to go ahead and get this book done and hopefully out by my anniversary this year. So July the 11th, 7/11. Um, and the reason I want to release it on my anniversary is because the hero is very much based on my husband, Lake. And I just, I don't know, I think that would be a fun homage to him and our relationship to release this rom-com, which is probably going to be my only rom-com, as far as I know, on our anniversary this year. And this year will be 11 years that we've been together, actually. Um, January the 10th was the 11-year anniversary of our first date, actually. And now let's move into talking about goals and plans, and specifically my HB90 goals. For those of you who don't know what HB90 is, it's a planning system developed by Sarah Cannon. of heart breathings. I highly recommend you check out her YouTube channel. And like, I'm not being paid to say that or anything. I just genuinely love her planner system and the whole course that goes along with HB90, as well as her Your Path Forward course. They've both been very helpful to me in figuring out where I want to go and what I want to do. And Sarah is also just a genuinely amazing person. I love her videos. Watching them makes me very happy, and they're actually what inspired me to do this podcast. But let's talk about my three goals for my HB90 goals this year. Or not this year, but this quarter of 2026. So for Q1 of 2026, I have a health goal, a writing goal, and a connection goal. So for the health goal, I have implement systems, projects, and habits that support improving my overall health by 10 to 15% this quarter, aka actually take care of myself. Beg your pardon. So, two, my writing goal is work to implement habits, systems, and projects that support a better work-life balance because I have severe workaholism problems, while still producing at least one finished book per quarter, which I think is fairly reasonable. And I'd like to do it at a pace this time that is not writing the entire book in the space of 30 days at the last minute on a time crunch, stressing myself out. Like, just doing it that way, while it has been effective in the past, has also led to burnout, and I'm trying to move away from burnout in every way that I possibly can. Um, and then my connection goal is implement daily connection time, like focused, intentional time doing something with my husband or my son or both of them where I'm feeling connected and like really dialed in on being present with them. And gratitude practices in order to focus on the good and increase my personal happiness by 10 to 20% this quarter. And uh that brings us to the chronic illness and health portion of our show. Little things, little things is what we're going to be talking about here. I'll be 100% honest. I had some big ideas about how I was going to make massive changes in this department, but I'm having to rein myself in and work on taking baby steps in the right direction instead. Let's talk about the vision I'm trying to work my way toward for a minute. My current sleep schedule is no longer working for me. I've been a night owl for my entire life, and I currently go to bed between 3 and 3:30 a.m., and I wake up between 10 and 10:30 a.m. There's nothing inherently wrong with that schedule, especially for you other night owls out there. Like, there's nothing wrong with being a night owl. It is not inherently bad in any way. Like, there's nothing wrong with being a night owl if it works for you in your life. And I just want to state that up front because there's almost a moral flavor people give to things about early risers, and early risers seem to be like morally superior to night owls in some people's views, and I don't agree with that at all. Um, but And this schedule, the 3 to 3:30 a.m. bedtime and 10 to 10:30 a.m. wake time worked for me for a really long time. The problem I'm running into with it now is that when I wake up at 10 to 10:30 a.m., it feels like I have to immediately throw clothes on and run out the door. I don't have the time to take my medicine before we leave the house, so it gets pushed back to when we get to work, which is a recipe for chaos. Half the time, I forget to take it at all, or I take it really late. I also feel like my peak thinking and functioning hours are all going to my day job rather than my creative pursuits like writing, filming, journaling, this podcast, etc. It leaves me feeling like I'm putting my passions and the things that give me joy and fill my well last. And consistently putting those things last on the list day after day is bringing up some resentful feelings in me that are unhappy and unhealthy. And I don't want that in my life. And that doesn't serve my goals around my chronic illness and improving my health or improving my personal happiness for that matter. So, what do I want to do about it? I want to become a morning person, which is not a thing that I thought I would ever say in my life, but here we are. I know it's going to be harder than it sounds. I'm also aware that it will be a process and it will probably take longer than I'd like to implement this. Ideally, I'd like to wake up at 5 or 6 a.m. so I can take my Synthroid immediately because I do not have a thyroid at all anymore, and that's a long story for another day. But take my Synthroid immediately upon waking up and give it the time and space it needs to work properly while I do my morning skincare routine, which is a new thing for me, by the way. And we can talk more in depth about that on my next episode. It's one of the little things that I'm implementing to try and improve my personal health and personal happiness by those percentages we talked about earlier. But then I want to sit down and work on my primary writing project for at least an hour. Then I'd like to do toast and coffee and the rest of my morning medications. Then continue to do quiet work until 10 a.m. when I'll get ready for work, but hopefully I won't feel so rushed and like I'm behind from the moment I wake up anymore. And that's the idea with this change in my schedule, but I'm having to walk it back very slowly over time. I know that if I just start setting my alarm for 5 a.m. and trying to get up at 5 a.m. when my bedtime is not in a great place right now, I'm gonna like fail and crash and burn, and it's not gonna go well at all. So I'm trying to slowly work my wake time back. And I'll be honest, I failed today. I rolled over and went back to sleep. The alarm went off at 8:30. I could have gotten up, I could have washed my face, I could have taken my medicine at that time, but I didn't have my meds out. I didn't have a water out on the nightstand. I didn't feel like walking to the other end of the house to the kitchen to get a water to take my medicine with. There was no propinquity in place. And the concept of propinquity, and I'm summing this up, is basically like making things as easy for yourself as humanly possible. So it's easier for you to follow through on a habit. And I first discovered propinquity in 5,000 Words Per Hour by Chris Fox, which I highly recommend. It's a great book. I'm re-listening to it on Audible right now while I'm trying to draft Murphy's Law of the Jungle and draft it perhaps more quickly than I would, but with less stress involved also with the other things I'm implementing in my life. But I did not follow through this morning. I didn't prepare myself the night before, and I paid for it today. So I ended up taking my meds late at work again rather than taking them before I left the house. And I know that tonight I need to set up a water bottle on my nightstand. I need to have my meds sitting on the nightstand and have those things ready to take when the alarm goes off at 8:30 in the morning. And I need to make myself get up and get out of the bed and wash my face and do the whole new skincare routine before like I need to just like make myself do it even if I don't feel like doing it so I can start working my way back toward that 5 or 6 a.m. wake time. And I'm jumping back from like 10:30 to 8:30, which is probably a bigger jump than I needed to make, but I'm trying, and then once that works, I'll move it back further. And it's going to be a much slower process than I want it to be, but I know if I jump in with both feet and just set the alarm for 5 a.m., things aren't going to go well. And I have to be really patient with myself throughout this process, which is incredibly difficult for me, if we're being honest. And that's really all I have for you on the chronic illness front right now is that goal to become a morning person, which is like a sub project, actually. It's a project under my health goal for this quarter. And even if I don't get to the 5 or 6 a.m. thing during this quarter, I can work my way back toward that and be more of a morning person than I am now and not feel so rushed when I'm leaving the house and take at least one of my medications before I have to leave the house. I have to take 10 pills in the morning and 6 or 8 pills every night. And then I have 2 pills in the afternoon at 2 o'clock, which I just now realized I forgot to take today. But oh well, it is what it is. Uh, you live and learn, and we'll try to do a better job tomorrow. Um, but let's move on to our oracle and or tarot reading for the day. It's an oracle reading with my Foretell Energy Forecasting deck by River Ether. I think I said that right. I don't have the deck directly in front of me right now because I pulled this reading earlier and wrote it down so I could record later. But this is a past, present, future advice reading. So I pulled 4 cards, and each of the 4 cards correlates to the past, the present, the future, and then what advice the cards are offering for the whatever situation that our collective is finding itself in currently. And in the past position on this reading, we have apology. An apology is on its way, or you are being called to offer one. Words carry the power to mend what has been broken, but only if they come from the heart. So apparently, there's been some kind of situation in the past for our collective that is requiring an apology or an, has an apology coming to you from someone else. And in the present, we have misunderstanding. A misunderstanding may feel like a wall, but it's one that can be torn down with patience and honesty. Listen with the intent to understand and release the need to be right, which is a big problem for me personally. I have a thing about being right and about proving that I'm right, and I've had that for my whole life, and it's a thing that I'm working on. But clarity will emerge from this fog. So, whatever situation that is calling for an apology has caused some kind of misunderstanding that has carried over into the present. Um, and like the misunderstanding still exists, and we're being called to listen to the other party in this misunderstanding with the intent to understand them and release the need to be right. And that's, for me personally, as a part of the collective, that's very hard to do. But let's move on to our future card. So we have smooth sailing. The waters are calm, and your journey should progress smoothly without major obstacles or disruptions in the future position. The universe supports you as you flow effortlessly towards your destination. And this is so funny. Just as a side note, I've had a lot of mermaids and go with the flow kind of things popping up in my notebook and journal spreads over the past couple of weeks. So that's really funny to me that the smooth sailing brought that to mind. Um and so what I'm getting from this is that once the misunderstanding has been cleared up, there will be smooth sailing after that. And that's why that's in the future position. And then we have our advice card. Generational healing. You are breaking cycles passed down through generations, freeing yourself and your lineage from ancient wounds. This is sacred work, and your courage to heal will echo far beyond your lifetime. So, to me, this feels like a call to continue breaking generational patterns that have impacted you negatively, but perhaps to do so while being aware of the other party's perspective and what contributed to or created these patterns without assigning blame or feeling the need to be right or for the other party to be wrong. As always, use your own discernment to decide whether this is for you, not for you, what pieces are meant for you, what are not meant for you. Like, always use your own gut checks and your own discernment on these things. But for me personally, I'm going to have to sit with this reading for a while because the need to prove that I'm right is a recurring theme in my own life. And it's a tough one. That's a tough need to let go of. Um And I think it ties back to a need for validation, maybe also. And that's something for me to look at and work on and maybe do some shadow work, get my shadow work journal back out and really look at like why. Why do I feel the need to be right? Why do I feel the desire for that validation? Um, some things of that nature. So I'm going to be sitting with this reading for a while, but that's all I have for you guys today. I'll be back with more updates on my chaotic little corner of the world soon. Thank you for joining me. Bye now.